What up, y'all? This is Tracy from Nerd Squish, and today we're going to talk about 10 underrated horror movies that you should watch this spooky season. It's October, spooky season if you will, and you know what that means, horror movie marathons. Spooky lights, cozy blankets, pizza rolls, and cold beers. Now you could watch the classics, Halloween, Trick or Treat, any of the black and white, old school Universal monsters. They're classics for a reason. But you've probably seen them 100 times and you're looking for something a little different to watch this year, and I've got you covered. No, Michael, it's not you, it's me. We're taking a break. Okay, before we get this started, we need some spooky hydration. So without further ado, here are 10 underrated horror movies that you should watch this spooky season in no particular order. The very first movie we have on this list is 2016's The Autopsy of Jane Doe. In this movie, a father and son coroner duo are performing an autopsy on an unidentified woman when strange things start to happen in the morgue. And that's all I'm really going to say. When I watched this movie, I knew nothing about it except for the fact that, hey, in the title, it's about an autopsy. And I think to know literally anything else about this movie would spoil the ride that is this film.
Love it. I f***ing love it!
And this clip is actually pretty appropriate because Brian Cox here plays the father alongside Emile Hirsch, who plays his son, and they are top-notch together. This movie is perfect for fans of slow builds, mystery, and tension, and this is just a gem of a movie. It is honestly one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and it hurts my heart every single time somebody says that they've never seen it. So, don't go breaking my heart. Next up, we have one of my Louisiana favorites, 2006's Hatchet. This slasher film, written and directed by one of my favorites, Adam Green, follows a group of tourists who go on a haunted swamp tour when they encounter and come face to face with a killer swamp legend named Victor Crowley. This movie is basically Jason Voorhees, but like in the swamp. And not only because he was like a little boy that died and he now haunts the place where he died tragically, and the fact that he's now for some reason like a grown man even though he died as a child, but that's besides the point. He's also played by Kane Hodder, the horror icon who also played Jason Voorhees. And he's not the only horror legend lurking around in this movie. We also have roles played by Tony Todd and Robert Englund. This movie is the first of a franchise consisting of 4 films and a comic book series, and honestly, all the movies are fun and would deserve a spot on this list. If you love horror comedies, practical effects, and over-the-top gore, this movie is a must-watch. The third movie on this list is 2024's I Don't Understand You. In this film, we follow a couple that is about to become parents through adoption, and they decide to take a trip to Italy for their 10th anniversary. In their beautiful vacation in the Italian countryside spirals into an anxiety-fueled horror show. I mean, seriously, one thing after another happens in this film to where you're sitting there and you're like, oh no, don't do that. You're not gonna do that, are you? And then they do the thing. And then that just keeps happening throughout the duration of this movie. This is a horror movie that doesn't rely on jump scares or things that'll keep you up at night, but just good old-fashioned, just awkward tension. And this movie it hits all kinds of emotions, and it's deep. It's kind of deep. Low-key, it is deep. And it's kind of all over the place at times, but I think that's what makes it kind of beautiful. So if you're looking for a horror comedy with a bit of depth, I highly recommend this funny but stressful movie. Next up on this list is a movie that 100% is not as big as it could be because it was marketed to the wrong audience, and I will die on this hill, and that is 2022's The Invitation. This shouldn't have been marketed to horror fans. You market it to the book girlies, because this is where this movie excels. This film follows Evie, a down-on-her-luck artist who has recently lost her mother. She's feeling alone and very lost, so she decides to take a DNA test where she discovers this long-lost cousin in England, and he invites her to a wedding. So she, gets to England and arrives to this huge fancy manor, New Carfax Abbey, if you know. So your girl Evie finds herself caught in this trap, revealing this pact that her distant relatives have with vampirism and the lord of the manor who she has kind of fallen for. I'll warn you, the ending is a bit cheesy, but this movie is a real treat for vampire fans, especially those who like modern takes on a heavily inspired Dracula story. Next up, we have another movie that has since spawned a franchise, and that is 2014's Creep. Found footage at its finest, this movie follows a videographer who takes a job to film this man named Joseph that lives in a remote cabin and has an inoperable brain tumor, and he wants to film a little video diary for his unborn child. And you know right from the get-go that Joseph is a bit odd. Okay, but the spiral, the evolution of his behavior goes from like, okay, this guy's a little quirky to downright disturbing. Joseph is brilliantly played by New Orleans' own Mark Duplass, and he is truly just a joy to watch because this character, you kind of go back and forth on like, okay, this dude's just weird. Okay, maybe he's a little mentally ill. Okay, he's deranged, and you change your mind throughout the film, which is like fun and frustrating. This movie is the perfect watch for fans of a character-driven, slow-build found footage. Coming up next, we have 2014's Digging Up the Marrow. Yes, this is the second Adam Green film on this list because come on, nerds, we need more appreciation for one of my favorite writer and directors. This mockumentary stars Green as himself as he investigates this man that claims that he can prove that monsters are real. This is a love letter to monster lore and cryptids in a fun and sneakily emotional documentary-style movie. And as a snob of CGI and a lover of practical effects, I'm always going to suggest an Adam Green movie because he appreciates this dying art, which is honestly so important in a monster movie, which modern movies just don't seem to understand. So if you're looking for a movie that blurs that line between reality and fantasy with good old-fashioned monster makeup, this one's for you. As I'm going through this list, I'm realizing that like all of my picks range, like not all of them, but the majority of them from like 2007 to 2016. So apparently it was a great time in horror for me. Next up, we have 2014's The Voices. In this black comedy, Ryan Reynolds plays a man named Jerry that has schizophrenia, and it causes him to have these hallucinations where he talks to his dog and his cat, and oh yeah, he murders people and then he talks to their severed heads. The movie definitely plays into pet stereotypes, with Bosco the dog being the good guy or the angel on the shoulder, and the cat, Mr. Whiskers, being pure, unfiltered evil, the devil on the shoulder. Because it's accurate. And sorry, cat people, but it's accurate. And the character of Jerry, I mean, first of all, we have Ryan Reynolds at his peak. So you love him already, but he's definitely a Dexter type of character in the fact that, like, okay, he's a murderer, but, like, he's sweet, and you care about this character, so you're very conflicted. So if you're looking for something sick, fun, twisted, and again, Ryan Reynolds at his peak, this funny horror comedy is definitely one you should watch. All right, it's time for another vampire pick. We have 2009's Suck. This horror comedy follows a struggling band whose lead singer gets turned into a vampire, and as a result, the band becomes super popular. One by one, each member also becomes a vampire, and while all of this is happening, Eddie Van Helsing, the vampire hunter, is chasing them down. If you love vampires and you love music, you're going to love this movie because you have some really fun cameos by people like Alice Cooper, Iggy Pop, and Henry Rollins. I'll be honest, put it right out on Front Street. The only reason that I originally watched this movie is because Danny Smith, who played Merton in Big Wolf on Campus, is in the film. Also, Jennifer, the main first vampire, played by Jessica Paré, I don't know, it's French, also a Big Wolf alum. Now, let's back that up with the fact that Danny Smith, he's like a glitch in the Matrix in this film. He's in a very, very small role. So, he may have been what brought me to this movie, but he's not the reason that I fell in love with this movie. It's low budget and campy, but it's a super fun watch. So if you're looking for something with vampires, but also incorporates the hilarity of something like This Is Spinal Tap, this is one you're definitely gonna wanna watch this spooky season. Next up on this list is a movie that, again, all of these I feel like are criminally underrated, but this one blows my mind that it is not talked about more, and that is 2007's 1408. That is a lot of numbers. We sound like we're doing a math equation, and you know, I'm not in school anymore. I've moved on from math. So, based on a short story by Stephen King, this movie follows Mike Anslin, an author who investigates paranormal locations or haunted locations. So he makes his way to a New York City hotel, specifically the room 1408, where 56 deaths have occurred. And he's one of these skeptics. He doesn't believe any of this is real until he gets trapped in this room and just experiences truly wild and haunting things. This movie is fantastic because to me it's more than just a scary movie. It delves into the psyche of grief and regret. This movie is Stephen King's psychological horror at its finest, and it's brilliantly carried by John Cusack. So if you're more into fear of the mind rather than guts and gore, this movie is perfect for you. Before we get to the last one, I need a little spooky sip. Last on this list, we have 1995's Demon Knight, a Tales from the Crypt feature film that follows a guy named Breaker who is currently on the run as he's being hunted by someone called the Collector. Why, you ask? Well, he's got an ancient relic that repels evil. You know, nothing really crazy, no big deal, it's just the blood of Christ. The blood of Jesus Christ. He seeks shelter in an old church turned boarding house with a crew of interesting characters, including Geraldine, who's played by Jada Pinkett Smith. And together, him and all these people in this house come face to face with the Collector and evil trying to take over for good. And my God, again, much like everything on this list, when people are like, I haven't seen this, oh, it hurts. It hurts me. This movie is a weird and a wild in all the best ways possible, and it combines, you know, monster makeup, practical effects, and just ridiculous one-liners to create an experience. The star of the show here is Billy Zane as the Collector. I don't think anyone has ever had as much fun as Billy Zane did playing this kooky, evil, maniacal character. And despite how goofy this movie can be, it's actually pretty deep, kind of diving into the classic war of good versus evil. And look, the cherry on top is that because it's a Tales from the Crypt movie, the movie both starts and ends with the Crypt Keeper. And I mean, who doesn't want to hear that laugh? Come on, kiddies.
Thank you.
And that completes my 10 underrated horror movies that you should watch this spooky season. Now go ahead. If you want to watch Scream for the 48th time, I probably will too. But if you want to watch something a little different, hopefully one of these gems, you know, seem interesting and you'll check them out. Whether it's swamp monsters, creepy hotels, or Ryan Reynolds talking to severed heads, I feel like we have a little something for every type of horror fan on this list. If you've seen any of these, drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Or even better, if you have another underrated horror movie that is perfect to watch in the month of October, drop it down in the comments because I always love new spooky recommendations. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so when new videos hit the channel, you'll be notified. And as always, thank y'all for watching, and I'll catch you nerds later!